We got work to do.
Welcome to How to Hell, a Supernatural podcast. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Christine.
And today we're talking about season 6 as a whole. This is our wrap-up episode. We're at the end of season 6, and we're here to share our thoughts, our concerns, the things we loved, the things we hated about season 6.
The good times, the bad times.
Yep, because just to preface this conversation, I mean, I think anybody who's been listening throughout season 6 to us can tell it has not been our favorite.
Yeah, and you warned me about that before we even got here. But it was interesting going through the season, and we'll talk about why. Like, I'll give all my final thoughts about it, but I can see now why. Obviously, it's a little contentious in the Supernatural fandom.
This being my second or third, maybe I think it's like my third go through, technically. And it hit totally different, I gotta say. I feel like it was worse. But I think because of the nature of like what we're doing, like we're going through every single episode in detail, we're talking about it, we're diving in.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the episode with my husband like as a binge. So
Yeah.
It's a totally different experience.
Totally. Thinking about, like, I've talked about how I'm starting Angel over, and I just finished season 1 and I'm a couple episodes into season 2. And I've been in the back of my head kind of thinking along those same lines. Like, I love this show. I love David Boreanaz. I love, everything that it was. I was so in love with him when I was 14. And it's been really fun going back through them again. But not all of them are very good. And it's okay to just kind of keep going. Like, if you're just watching it and you're binging it, you can just be like, next. And you don't have to sit there and think about it too much. You're just like, oh, I didn't love that, but that's okay. On to the next one. And it's, if I had to sit down and do this kind of analysis on all of those episodes, I wonder what the outcome would be, like an overall thought of like a season or something, because some are pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like Vampire Batman, in season 1, and the first scene in Angel, the pilot, is Angel in a Hawaiian shirt pretending to be like some drunk dude, like things like that are just so silly.
Yes. Yeah, and starting season 2 now, he's sillier than he was in season 1. Like, he's cracking all kinds of jokes. He's a different Angel because he's all, well, no spoilies, I guess. Guys, it's been out for a while. I shouldn't, feel bad about it. But yeah, it's interesting to think about it like that, because I know that I would be harsh at times on it.
Well, I guess before we get to all of our final thoughts on season 6, Supernatural, we're talking now again, we're going to go through a few things that we usually do in our wrap-up episodes. One is a final count of these trackers that we do typically, with a note that actually I haven't, although we've been talking about like, oh, there was a son of a bitch in this episode, there's, and all of that. I don't have the final count yet for the son of a bitch. So I'm going to be updating that on the website whenever I get a chance. So I don't have that number currently available. But the crying count was really easy to do this season because nobody cried.
Yeah, there
There's
was very little of it.
there's one cry, I think a misty-eyed from Sam in an earlier episode. And then or actually no, it was there's no Sam did not cry at all. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Dean. Dean had one cry in early season 6 and then two at the end with Let It Bleed. That's it.
Uh-huh.
Only 3.
And they were all Dean.
So and they were all Dean. Maybe this is why season 6 is not the show that we know and love because
Sam doesn't
nobody's
cry enough.
crying. Exactly.
It just feels wrong.
It does. I mean, we got to see those boys cry. So that being said, Sam is still leading with 49 total cries.
We go a whole season with no crying. And he's still winning.
Yeah, still blowing it out of the park. And
That
then
got me. That was funny.
Dean is at 32. So
Okay.
we'll see season 7. We'll see if they cry a little bit more. Maybe they were like, in the writer's room, oh, that's the missing element.
And this season 7's just going to be like sobbing every episode.
Right.
Trying to make up for it.
Okay, so you guys wrote in with some of your thoughts on season 6. And actually, we got this back in June 29th, 2020 from Jake. I'm so sorry, Jake. I wanted to keep this email till the end of season 6. And I told Christine right before we started recording about this email, and I was like, this is a bummer one to start out with. But, we want to know your thoughts. So, Jake says, I just finished season 6, and I have to say I am very disappointed. I usually watch these episodes while I'm running on the treadmill, and normally I'm so excited to watch the next episode. But this past season has been so hard to watch. The monsters of the week are terrible. Sam constantly telling Dean, wow, you're good with kids. The first 5 episodes drove me nuts. Did he do that? I don't remember that. There are no likable characters anymore. Kripke was the only thing keeping the show together and somewhat based in real lore. And then he says, I hate to say it, but I think I'm tapping out. 1 through 5 is a masterpiece. I've watched it 3 times now, and I don't know if I can make it through season 7. He says, I'll keep listening to your podcast through season 6, but I highly doubt I'll follow you guys through season 7. Hopefully you guys can change my mind.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's a tall order, Jake.
It is. Although,
if you're still listening.
Yeah, if you hear this. Maybe we should write back and say, by the way, we talked about you in this episode, so come on back for this conversation. Because I don't know if I can save it, but first of all, please don't leave me. We had to go through this, okay? We got to do this for you. No, but my thought was for season 7, maybe this is kind of your way of cheating through season 6. You don't have to watch the episodes. If you enjoy the podcast or anybody else's podcast where they kind of cover that, maybe that's how you can just learn about it and still know what happens, but not have to experience it if you don't want to. And then
yeah, we recapped the entire thing pretty much
in detail, as you know. So you could just kind of skip it and come back for season 7 and see what you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally get that sentiment. I mean, like I kind of mentioned, like it was a worse experience watching season 6 this time. I had liked season 6 a lot more before, and so I totally get that feeling because I was kind of like, whoa, is it gonna be like this for the rest of the podcast?
Yeah.
And I looked ahead and I felt like no, like I looked at season 7, for example, which I had mentioned to Christine a little bit about this, but I think generally that season is known for having a big bad Um,
Mm.
I think I mentioned that a long time ago.
A bad baddie.
Yeah, just like people don't really like the big bad. But there's a lot of really great episodes. Like I'm actually really looking forward to season 7 because I mean, for one, it has my favorite episode. My favorite character comes out and all of that. And then just some really great episodes. So I feel like I don't know, season 6 wasn't a lot of fun. Like even
Mhm.
if the show like if you have a big bad, I think it's still possible to have a fun show. Like if you look at, for example, season 4 of Buffy, which has the worst big bad. Oh, I hate it. But I love watching it. Season 4 is the one I rewatch the most. That and season 2 because of Buffy, because it has such fun episodes. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. I'm hoping that others feel the same. I hope Christine feels the same with season 7. Um, and then from what I've gathered from like friends and the community who watch Supernatural, they really like seasons 8 and 9. So I those are the more like we go along this journey, the more everything becomes really fuzzy to me and runs into each other. Um,
So it's more
but yeah.
uncharted territory too. Yeah, I mean, I think that is fairly, that's convincing because if there are other seasons ahead that, are known to be good, that the fandom likes, that, I mean, there's still so much left, I can't help but think about how there are 15 seasons of this show. It didn't get renewed for no reason. And clearly season 6 didn't break it. So, it's
Mm-hmm.
worth checking out, if nothing else, Jake.
Right. And also, I mean, maybe we'll talk about this a little bit, but Sarah Gamble, she's a new showrunner here. She is a showrunner for season 7, but then after season 7, she leaves, and somebody else takes over. So I don't know.
So it's going to change again.
It's gonna change again, and we'll see how it changes. Like it'll be interesting to see that. So yeah, I hope that does convince you, Jake.
That's our best shot.
Hey guys, this is Kristen. So I'm recording this a few days after we've recorded our season 6 wrap up episode. But I just wanted to let everyone know that we actually received an email from Jake with an update, like literally right after we recorded. So I just wanted to give a little bit of an update. That Jake says, listening to you guys finish season 6, I did go ahead and start on season 7. I'm about 5 episodes in, and I think I'm gonna keep watching. So so he basically just wanted to let us know he's back on board after listening to our recent episodes, particularly the last two episodes of season 6, and then he's into season 7. So thank you, Jake, for that update. I know we had literally just said like, oh, we want to hear an update from you and see how it's going. So thank you for providing that to us. Oh man. Okay, so this other email from Rob, who I don't know if you recall, and he says here, he's one of our long-term listeners, back from season 1.
Hey, Rob.
He was surprised that Samuel was brought back. Then as the season progressed, he hated his motives for working for Crowley. It just sucked, and he did it so he could have Mary back.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, like, Samuel and the Campbells just fucking sucked.
Well, we agree.
We totally agree.
You
Yep.
are absolutely correct.
Oh, interesting. He says, okay. He says, as the two of you are close to starting season 7, I think it's a season where I dropped off at for a while. I don't remember when, and had to watch from the beginning when either season 8 or 9 started. He says, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I just think it was just I couldn't do it for a while. And then it was the ending of season 9 that he was like, okay, I have to pick this back up.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That is
So
very
yeah,
interesting.
very similar to what I've heard. Yeah, what other people feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then he says, okay, one last thing. The host of the other supernatural podcast, Monster of the Week, who we've had on the podcast
Yeah.
before, they do a fuck Mary Hunt game at the end of each season. And he wants us to play with these three choices: Sam with a soul, soulless Sam, and then Samifer, aka Sam possessed by Lucifer.
Oh. Ooh, that's a good game. Okay, let
I
me
feel like
think.
this one's easy for me.
Okay, well, then you go first. You're like, I already know.
I do. I think I would kill Samifer because he just wants to end the world. Like that's not
Sure, yeah.
fun.
Yeah, he's Lucifer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um.
Looks good in a white suit, though.
You see, imagine those wedding photos.
just
It'd be pretty
just
good.
imagine, yeah.
Uh. And then I would say that I'm gonna fuck Sola Sam because it's gonna be good, probably, and also he's gonna pay you.
Yep.
So
Get that
you
bag.
know
Mm-hmm.
you can buy yourself something real nice, and I mean it's just a win-win situation.
Win-win. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm. Yeah,
And you know he's
and
not
then
going to call you
Mary.
again. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. I got your money. Yeah, so that's my pick. And then of course Mary, puppy dog eyes Sam.
Yeah, because he's just a good dude. No, yeah, I actually was thinking the same thing. I would have to go the same direction for the same reasons. Marry Sam with a soul because you gotta just be with him forever.
Yeah.
Uh, and being with soulless Sam or Samifer would at some point pretty quickly be problematic.
Yeah, especially soulless Sam, man. Like I feel like Lucifer has a little bit of a soul in there. It's just corrupt or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Rob. That was a good game.
So that being said, we do this every wrap up episode. We talk about favorite episodes, least favorite episodes, and then ask a few key questions. Put it out, you know, for you guys to write in or vote on our Google form. And so the first question is favorite season 6 episode. I will say that from the listeners' pick, it was tied between The Man Who Would Be King, Clap Your Hands If You Believe, and The French Mistake.
Interesting.
Very interesting, especially since I don't think that we picked any of those as our favorite episodes.
No.
This one was really easy for me. It took me a second to remember that I love this episode, that it's one of my favorite episodes, but I love Unforgiven. And Unforgiven, if you guys don't remember, is the one where they go to this like one town, and then Sam, who's been reinsouled, starts remembering that he's been there before, soulless and with Samuel, and they're fighting the Arachne. Um and the big spider demon thing. And I love it so much. I love the black and white for the flashback scenes, just how dark it gets, how like sad the story is, because you really feel for this demon who like Sam totally fucked over, and that's the only reason he's in the state that he's in. Um and yeah, I just love that episode. I thought it was so good. It may not be like one of the best episodes, but it's my favorite of season
No, that's
6.
awesome. You know, it doesn't have to be like one of the episodes you know is like really good. Like it doesn't have to hit all of like the stereotypically good check boxes to be
Right.
your favorite. I think that's how I felt about some of those episodes in the beginning. Like I think about Crossroad Blues and Dead in the Water. I can't tell you why I liked them so much. I just liked it. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
they're just good.
yeah,
Yeah.
just something about it. Yeah, that was a good one too, though. I did like Unforgiven. It really got you in the feels. Think I picked a few of my favorites for this one to decide between, but I think I got to go with Let It Bleed. That was the first episode this whole season that affected me so much and really hit me that hard. I sobbed. I was sitting there on the couch by myself at 11 o'clock at night, crying, and my dog was looking at me like, "Are you okay?" Like crying after the credits were rolling, and it just really got me, and the whole episode was really well done. So I think that's actually my favorite. But honorable mentions that were pretty close that I was looking at were Frontierland and Appointment in Samara, because I just love Death and his whole concept and all of that
Yeah.
part of the story. And obviously Frontierland, we really enjoyed that one too. We kind of wished it had been like 2 episodes for more of it and just like more of the story, and it was cool.
I know it's so funny that you mention it as like an honorable mention because it's funny I think we really ragged on that episode while recording, but because like we loved the concept so much and wanted so much more, like
Hmm.
it was more of that.
Yeah, it was kind of just frustrating.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like why isn't this what we're watching?
Hmm.
And that was before like we knew all the cast stuff. We knew where the season was going. So I
Hmm.
don't know. I mean, with Let It Bleed, especially, that felt like, oh, this is taking a really positive turn. But I feel like we could have still used like a Frontierland arc, season 3 episode arc this
Yes, I
within the
agree.
season.
Even knowing what we know now and like going through the rest of the season, I still want that like back then.
Yeah, me too. So, least favorite episode, we just we listed many. Let me see what the listeners.
Yeah,
So,
I want to know what they picked. Okay.
Mannequin 3, and then Family Matters. So, right on the money. Because
Yep.
those two were the ones that we agreed on. Because we both listed 3,
Yeah,
and
like three
two of
options
those,
that we didn't like. Uh-huh.
two of those are Family Matters and Mannequin 3.
They're just bad. They're
They're
just
just
bad.
bad.
And
Um,
Matters was way too much of the Campbells.
I think that's mainly why we listed it. I mean, speaking for myself, it was more
No, yeah,
like, well,
same.
it's not necessarily a bad. Well, actually, you know what? That episode was bad. That's the episode where it had the funky like thing that happened where there's a flash and then they grab
Yes.
people and then there's a flash
Yes.
again.
And you're like, "Wait, what? I don't know what just happened."
It was just bad. Um. So yes, and just to kind of like get ahead of myself a little bit, Mannequin 3 is our lowest on our ranking of season 6. I should
Mm-hmm.
clarify. Yeah, it's number 110 out of 126. So it's it's just bad. It's
Yeah.
living on season 1 things.
Ugh. Obviously, we didn't like it.
Mhm.
What
And
was
then
the other one you chose?
the other one that I chose was And Then There Were None, which is the one where they track the worm into that
Where we
cannery.
lose Rufus.
Yes, we lose Rufus.
Yeah.
Rufus dies.
Rufus fucking dies.
What the hell? I forgot about that too. Yeah, I
Yes.
just didn't like all of the, I was just thinking like those stupid worm, and it's like got a message from the mother of all, you're all gonna die. And it's just like, what? That's it. But also that wasn't her message
No. So
in
what
the
was your
end.
purpose? Stoops.
It was dumb. It just felt like a filler.
Yeah, which is weird because we had those big deaths. They killed Samuel and Rufus in
Hmm.
one episode, and it didn't feel important enough or something.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it was a bad
Yeah,
episode.
it was a bad episode. I'm with you. The other one I picked was All Dogs Go to Heaven. That left such a sour taste in my mouth. The way it ended up, like, it was kind of a goofy episode anyway. And then at the end, where he, like, tries to apologize to the woman that he was living
Why
with,
are
and
you making me remember this, Christine? It's
she's
so
so
sad.
awful. And he just, like, walks off as, like, a stray dog, and it's fucking sad, and it's terrible. I hated the whole thing.
I hate it so much. It's so sad. Like, obviously we shouldn't feel bad for this guy because he's a
Yeah.
creep,
Yeah,
like,
he was creepy.
but like, oh, I felt so bad with that last shot of him as a German shepherd just walking on the street like homeward bound.
Lost on the streets of fucking buttfuck nowhere, Kansas.
Oh my god. Fuck that episode.
No, I know it was not good. And then what was the other thing about it that I was thinking of? Just that, like, I don't know why the writers made us feel bad for him at the end. You know, like, he was creepy. They set this whole thing up. It wasn't like he was totally redeemed, and then they just make you feel really bad for the guy at the end. And it's like, why would you do this to me? It was
Yeah,
not
it's
necessary.
strange.
Anyway. So yeah, I didn't like that episode. I think that was my least favorite.
Yeah. I forgot about that one. But yeah, I agree with you. Well, moving on. The next question we had on our forum was Soul Sam or Soulless Sam? And I also tweeted out this question. And, you know, it's like pretty unanimous. I mean, like, it's unanimous. Everyone loves a insouled Sam.
How can you not? I mean, he was my pick too. If I Again, this goes back to the game that Rob had us play. If I have to have a Sam for an extended period of time, to stick with, you want your Sam with a soul.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I really love Soulless Sam. I think I'm coming more from a perspective of
You're
like
like literally playing
story.
devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Like very literal.
But
Anyway, sorry.
like when I think about season 6, I think about Soulless Sam,
Mm.
and I guess I just love the concept of it. Like, it's fun to me, like, to watch as a story. And like, I mean, that makes sense because I love Angelus. I think he's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. He is a lot
Um,
of fun.
so maybe that's kind of where it comes from too. Like, I just like that story. It's like this good guy turned bad, and
Mm-hmm.
and which is what which is another thing. Like, Soulless Sam was only around for like 5 episodes or something. Maybe it was more. It was like 7 episodes or something.
Yeah, not too long. And we didn't know what was going on with him for most of that time too, or a lot of the time. So it kind of didn't really feel like we had a soulless Sam because we were just like, ew, what's wrong with him? That's weird.
Yeah, he's acting strange. So it is strange because I, like, looking back at it before we did this rewatch, or I did this rewatch, it felt like, oh, this is the soulless Sam season, but it's not really. It doesn't really feel that way watching it because, yeah,
Mm.
there's not a lot of it
Hmm.
that happens.
I'm glad that they had it.
It's
Well, not glad in this sense, but in the sense of like making it seem more like it was the big deal it was supposed to be throughout the season. That they brought it back at the end of the season to like remind you who he was and like what he had been through. Like I'm glad they brought it back around, to reiterate all of that he went through.
Yeah, agreed. Like they actually gave him consequences, and that's,
Mhm.
at least they didn't mess that up.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah.
Because we've had that happen with Dean where, not that they messed it up, but that they, he has consequences from being in hell and all of that. And so
Hmm.
it's interesting to see. It's interesting that they didn't do the same thing either. It's good that they didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Favorite relationship? Um,
You go first.
the answers for this one are really interesting from the listeners. So some people picked Bobby and alternate universe Ellen, and
Aw.
some picked Cass and Meg.
I mean,
And I'm
they're
sorry, I
fun.
should probably read the choices here. So one, Dean and Lisa. Two, Bobby and Eleanor or Dr. Viziak. Three, Bobby and alternate universe Ellen. Four, Bobby and Marcy. And then Cass and Meg. So,
I kind of get it. I mean, if you're gonna go like fun and funny,
yeah.
they're a fun couple to ship.
Angel demon
Yeah.
romance,
Also, it was pretty hot.
it was hot. It was very hot.
It was good.
It was just like, again, the binging thing, right? So I remember seeing it and being like, oh man, and I like made up some bullshit story in my mind like, oh, they were in
Mm.
love like 3,000 years ago, and like that's what I would have told you. But no, it's like that just came out of nowhere.
Hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah, it was. It was just totally out of left field.
Maybe they were just like, Meg makes the horny demon. Like we've seen it in season 1, season 2.
She is. It's true. Yeah.
So it's just up her alley. But no, I I think it's difficult. This is very difficult because I want to say Dina and Lisa, and I think that's my final answer. But it's so close for me. I love Bobby and Ellen
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
much.
I get it. I do. I love them too. I just want to see Bobby happy. And that was definitely the happiest we saw him this season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She was really good for him. Like it just every ugh, that was a really hard thing to see. Even though we didn't like that episode, like um it was hard to see that alternate universe end.
Yeah.
Uh,
Totally. Yeah, I get that. I think that would be a close second for me. But I gotta do it. I gotta say Dean and Lisa. It's true. I love them. They broke my they broke my heart.
they're the what do the kids say? They're the OTP. I don't know. I'm not that old. We made that up.
I'm not that old. It's true. And yeah, they were just meant to be, and I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do with myself as far as, couples go in the show, cuz I got used to it, we had it for a whole season, even though they weren't like together all the time. There was still always like some hope for them, and there was definitely like love still between the two. And now I don't know. It's just done, I guess. It's hard to leave it behind.
Yeah. Yeah, they really were kind of perfect. And of course, the writers had to kill it. Because I understand. I understand like the show would have been a little strange. This is a show where the main characters are on the road all the time and they just couldn't have a home base here.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's kind of become like Bobby's house in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
I
yeah.
mean they were a beautiful couple. And
Mm-hmm.
Lisa was very understanding of him and his situation, not just like his um like his whole like hunter situation, but also of his like PTSD, you know.
Totally. Yeah. She was working with him. Yeah. Sad.
Um and that's kind of what I wanted to mention with an email that we got from Whitney, who says that she especially loves how much we adore Lisa and Brandon and her relationship with Dean. She says, I do as well. As a matter of fact, I'll totally admit to shipping her and Dean right from the first moment they interacted together on screen way back in season three's The Kids Are All Right.
Oh.
Like you guys said during the Mannequin 3 episode, she's the absolute best that Dean's going to get, which I 1,000 degrees percent agree. It's so entirely true. She really is the absolute best woman for him. Um, and it upset me immensely when I saw how their story eventually ended. Needless to say, I'm still not over it, which is probably why I continue to live in this perfect little supernatural fantasy in which Dean and Lisa are still happily together, living their best life with Sam and Dean. I'm sorry, Sam and Ben. There's probably lots of fanfic.
Oh, there's gotta be, right?
Yeah, like happy, like Dean playing baseball with Ben. And
Oh.
I don't know, just cute shit like that. Which also points out the fact that we were very angry that they didn't have any sexy scenes together.
Yeah, that was kind of some bullshit. I don't know why you would do us like that.
No kissing, no like, come on.
Yeah. It was very I don't know, like couple who's been together for 10 years.
Exactly. Like, come on. They should have been all over each other.
Mhm. Missed opportunities.
Instead, Cass and Meg are over here smacking on each other
For no reason.
for no reason at all. No, no, no. It's a 3,000-year-old unrequited love situation.
Okay,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
telling you.
Uh-huh. Totally.
Uh, okay, so now let's get to our ranking comparison. First off, I pulled just like the top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like 10. Season 6 episodes that we have on our ranking. The highest is Let It Bleed at number 10, which makes a lot of sense. It was a great episode. Um, and then the second highest of season 6 is Weekend at Bobby's at number 11, which was a very because I had just mentioned Unforgiven as my favorite episode, but I would have put Weekend at Bobby's at number 2 for
Mm,
me.
yeah, it was
I
great.
really love that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got great Rufus, great Bobby, obviously.
Mhm.
And also some cool like Crowley stuff, and then the boys are in Scotland. There's just some fun stuff.
Yeah, it was crazy. I really enjoyed it.
And number 3, the French Mistake at number 21, followed closely by The Man Who Would Be King at number 22. And then, after that, Mommy Dearest at 25. You Can't Handle the Truth at number 26. And then it jumps all the way to Unforgiven at number 40.
Mm.
Live Free or Try Hard at 43. And then Frontierland at 56.
Interesting.
Which is surprising, again, because it's like those seem like low numbers, but also that's like the top half of our list.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. Like almost the top third.
right. And then the EW ranking, what's really interesting about this is, so I was first on this other web page that they have, and this is actually from ranking 200 episodes, not the 317 episode rank that I've been going to. But they state like the number of episodes that are in their top 40, and it says that there are 3 episodes in their top 40. And then a number of episodes in our worst 10. And they have 3 episodes from season 6 in their worst 10.
They
3.
have 3 episodes from season 6 in their top 40.
Yes. Although, again, that was in their 200 ranking. Because when I look at,
Okay.
like, yeah, if you look at the
Not
one,
like the 317 ranking.
right.
Okay. Okay. I was like, what?
Yeah, it got pushed down. These got pushed down a little bit, which is,
Okay.
it is interesting because they have The Man Who Would Be King at number 34, The
Mhm.
Man Who Knew Too Much at 42, and then Let It Bleed 79 and Mommy Dearest 80.
Hmm.
But that
So,
was interesting to me because The Man Who Would Be King, like that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, there's still one in their top 40 from season 6, and it's that one. And it was good, but that's not even like at the top of our list, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's fourth for us in season 6, but
But they're number 1.
I I can imagine for us it might be pushed down more um, than what it is right now. It's crazy.
Mhm.
But yeah, three at the very bottom. I didn't scroll to see which ones those were. Let me see. I'm curious. I'm sure it's gonna be Mannequin 3.
Family Matters.
Oh,
And all dogs go to
probably.
heaven.
Yeah.
I hope so. Come on. There has to be justice.
Okay. Number 324, All Dogs Go to Heaven. That's out of, again, well, that actually 327 out of 327. So the very
Oh
like
my
worst
god.
episode is Bugs, and then Wendigo, and then a season 7 episode. Uh-oh. And then All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Wow. Wow, wow,
Followed
wow.
by Mannequin 3.
We know a bad episode when we see it.
Yeah. And then let me see. Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
You know what? They don't know anything because
Unforgiven?
Unforgiven,
I knew it.
yes,
Bastards.
is at number 318.
318? Come on. It's not that
Yeah,
bad. It was not that bad.
it was. I was gonna mention this anyway before, but some of these rankings are kind of crazy.
Well, we've talked about that, I think, in some of the other wrap up episodes. Like, they've had some real weird picks that we were like,
Oh yeah,
nah, you're tripping. Who did you get to rank these?
yeah. Because yeah, when I was going through this, I was like, wait, what? Like, you would put what where?
Yeah.
Um, well, it's interesting. I don't know if I had shared this before or ever, but on one of their pages on um like where they kind of summarize how many episodes are in their worst 10 in their top 40, they say like what key elements they use to rank the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was interesting in order to, I don't know, maybe kind of think about, I feel like we kind of think about this too. So one is the grand mythology, and then this is not spoilery, but they say there's no question that based on our rankings, season 5 is the strongest. And what was season 5 all about? The biggest mythology of all time, Michael and Lucifer. So they're like, it doesn't get much higher than that. But they do interestingly mention another example of a large mythology doing well, uh, blank in season 8.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
let's see how that goes. Memorable guest stars, another uh, key element. So Ghostfacers to the oh so good Lucifer. Solid case of the week. So like bad example, Bugs.
Mm.
Um, and then it says the Benders, great. What the hell are you talking about?
What?
The, if you recall, they liked the Benders. We hated that episode.
I hate that episode.
It's like pretty low on our list. Yeah.
Yeah. It really grossed me out. That's weird.
Another key element, brother bonding. We totally,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think,
Mm-hmm.
talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, life or death situations.
I
Okay.
mean, I guess.
I guess. I mean, they're always dying. So there's not a
Yeah.
lot of
Right.
stock there. And then the last thing, meta everything. So when the boundaries are pushed.
That's interesting. I mean, it's kind of cool to see what they came up with for their, guidelines for their ranking. But knowing that too, and where they play some of these episodes, like that doesn't really tell you whether or not it's a good overall episode. Like not the ranking of some of those things, I don't think lends itself to telling you that.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me think like,
Like the
do they really
mythology,
have. Uh
that's
huh.
not necessarily going to be a bearing for. It's not going to be important to me necessarily, and a bearing on whether or not it was really a good episode.
Right. Yeah. I think what I sometimes, yeah, I still kind of do this still, but I had come up with my own key elements.
You did.
Um,
I remember that.
and for the most part, I'll fill out my little chart, as I think through it. But, maybe not to an exact science, but I think, and my internet's going slow, but I think it's directing, um, writing, because again, like directing can be so important, like just look at Family Matters. What the fuck? And then
Hmm.
writing, um, and then character development. So the brother bonding and everything, that kind of goes to, maybe it was Frontierland or something, where it was like, I had mentioned that, this is a great episode, but like, where's like the character development of Dean? Like, why didn't Dean say this so that he can connect what the Phoenix is going with, what he's going with? I just want a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is for me the plot, which I it's out of 10. So what I would do is I would afford 5 points to like the episode plot, and then 5 points to like how much it contributes to the overall uh arc.
Yeah. 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 Like that to me is kind of like weighing more of like the basic elements of an episode and like what can really make it objectively good or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess what it would be kind of missing from that is like the X factor, for like um the maybe a really meta episode like the French
Mhm.
Mistake, or
Yeah.
something
I
else.
could see
So
that.
mhm. um but yeah, those are our rankings for season 6. So you know final impressions, I think we've talked about a lot of it. um Obviously, Soulless Sam, I'm a fan, but just wanted some more. But I, you know I don't know. Before we get to the my next like little bullet point, how did you feel about Zola Sam?
I could see what you were saying as we went along and were uh getting to know Soulless Sam more and more. It was like I definitely kind of appreciate the way that he acts in some situations. Obviously, it's super problematic. He doesn't have his morals. He's not our Sam, but he is a better hunter. He really saved their asses at times, and um, I think that's what our soulful Sam has struggled with, figuring out whether or not like this is the life for him, right, or whether or not he should just be in a library. And so I get it. I liked Soulless Sam. I thought it was a really interesting element for the season, and uh, he was fun to get to know. And I'm glad to have our Sam back. I don't really know what that's going to look like because it doesn't seem like. I mean, we're not done here. He's still dealing with this shit. Um, so we'll see how that goes. But I enjoyed him. It definitely
Yeah,
helped the season.
it's interesting because like I'm curious to see what a soulless dean looks like. Um
Mm, that's an
because thinking
interesting
about
thought.
Sam, I love Sam. I don't mean to say anything bad about him, but he's made some bad decisions with a soul in him. He's
True.
uh drank demon blood and um what did he do with Ruby that we were like, what the fuck? Like he killed an innocent person,
Yes. Yes.
right?
I think so.
So
Oh.
he's done some messed up shit too, which I he was influenced in a way, but
Hmm.
by the demon inside him, but also influenced by Ruby.
Uh-huh.
But we've seen where he can be influenced, to do bad things, um and so yeah, as much as I love him and I do think he's a good person inside, we've seen him be bad. And so it's kind of interesting to think of it like that, where it's not just like soulless Sam is a totally different entity, a totally different person. Kind of how Angelus, how we think of him, perhaps. But maybe soulless Sam is inside of Sam.
Yeah.
And it's just his soul that's stopping him from doing those things for the most part.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I wonder too, like I had a thought while you were talking that another reason could be, I don't know, and this is so mean and we don't want to believe it of our Sam with a soul. But soulless Sam was like taunting him when he was inside his own head with the different pieces of himself and saying, you're weak. And maybe with a soul, he is kind of weak. Like he could be influenced by Ruby and he could be
Mhm.
swayed and driven to
Yeah.
do bad things, even though he had a soul, because that makes him kind of weak in a way. Um,
Hmm.
which is kind of, that's a hard pill to swallow, but like that's something he's got to deal with too.
That being said, I don't think that soulless Dean would be like that. Because Dean is uncompromising, maybe some might say stubborn,
Mhm.
but he's always doing what he wants, what he thinks is right. Um, but for the most part, like he always has like Sam in his best interest. It's never him,
True. Yeah,
you
he does
know.
not. He never puts himself first. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I feel like a soulless Dean would be like a really badass hunter. But I don't know if he would be that different than how he is currently.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, other than just like the connection he has to like Sam and the connection he did have to Lisa and Ben and like what he has with Bobby, like, his connections with people, like you get rid of that and I think you're kind of right. Like, what else is left is uh maybe pretty close to what he would be without us all.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. Um. So, the other big part of season 6, and I think what we had more of an issue with, was Cass and his storyline.
Yep, that's fair to say. Um, and I don't know what to think of him now, We finished the season where he is the new god, as he's proclaiming, whatever the hell that means. And I don't know, something's gone to his head. Um, he's not our Cass anymore.
Yeah. God, there was some thought that I had towards the beginning of this discussion about Cass, and I'm forgetting specifically what, but just I'm trying to formulate it again in my mind, but basically just like if okay, I know what I was gonna say because we were talking about binging, and
Mhm.
I think the main reason why this season hit differently and hit better for me while binging it is because like we had an issue because like Cass was barely in the season. We only just like heard about like him maybe fighting some wars
Mhm.
and fighting against Raphael, and we didn't really understand what was going on, and it felt so long without him and dealing with a lack of answer about that.
Yes.
And binging it didn't feel like that. It just felt like
A
it was
couple
just
weeks
more
and,
compressed. Yeah, if
not even.
that, like it's
Yeah.
like 3 days, and then
Mhm.
we know what's going on. So I think
Yeah.
that's a big part of why it just worked better binging it.
I can totally see that.
Hmm.
Because we had a lot to complain about episode to episode about how it wasn't happening and they weren't giving us enough and it wasn't really being explained. And they would like allude to something and we were like, cool, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can easily see how that would not be as much of an issue, just kind of tearing through it.
Hmm. Um. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's much left to say, or that I have left to say about that whole situation and about
Yeah.
season 6 as a whole. It just it's crazy, man. Like I feel like I would rank this season either below or like right above season 1
Hmm.
personally.
Hmm.
Um cuz season 1 is still fun to watch. I think to a certain extent, like even though there are a lot of bad episodes, it's like it still has its distinct style, and season 6 just felt like a show truly trying to find itself. And season 1 felt like it knew itself.
Yeah.
Um
I think that's a good assessment. Yeah, and I don't know that I have anything else to really say about it as a whole either. We've obviously talked about it in detail so far, and kind of a lot of our last thoughts in the last episode. But um, I don't know. I know that this was supposed to be a season that was not well liked, so I guess it's not surprising, that we came out of it with a lot of these thoughts and feelings about it, and I don't expect that season 7 will be quite like this.
I hope not. Again, like I've only binged it before, so it could be it could be a totally different
Yeah, it
experience.
could
But that
feel
being
rough.
said, right. Um that being said, I'm looking forward to it. The other thought that I had, last thought is because at a long time ago when we were talking about like, especially when we were talking about like comparing Supernatural to Buffy, right? I think I had an idea about like doing a whole episode about uh season 6 Supernatural versus season 6 Buffy. Um
Mm.
the comparisons being, both had Joss Whedon, or their original showrunner and creator, leave the show. So Joss Whedon left after season
Uh-huh.
5, and then Kripke left after season 5, and then two new showrunners took over, both women, Sarah Gamble and Marty Noxon, and both. I mean, I know the Marty Noxon backlash. I've kind of heard similar things about Sarah Gamble. That there was big backlash against Sarah Gamble. I don't know if it was
Mm.
to the extent that it was with Marty Noxon. Like people were really bullying Marty Noxon
That's really
about
unfortunate.
season 6 of Buffy. It is really unfortunate, especially since I actually really love season 6 of Buffy. Um, you know, I actually really love it, and so the idea was like, which one's better, but it doesn't compare for me.
Yeah.
um, you
It's
know,
not worth going through that exercise anymore.
It doesn't. It does. Yeah. No matter how much you may hate the metaphor of uh, wi- like witch powers to drug addiction, uh, yeah, season 6 is still going to be like chef's kiss. Um, I think so.
Yeah.
But kind of sad, that like there was backlash against these women writers, especially in this industry where they were kind of breaking ground. So
Totally. Well, and I'm sorry, but they didn't totally burn the house down. Again, they still got renewed. They kept the show alive for many more seasons in each case.
right.
Um, so
Yeah,
shit
exactly.
happens.
Hmm. Yeah. So I don't know too much about all of that, and how people felt towards Sarah Gamble. So I'd be curious. I might do some research.
Hmm.
Um, really quick, just because I skipped over this and I missed this and just wanted to read this out loud. James wrote in on the season 6 wrap up episode, or the wrap up forum, and specifically in what was the most surprising thing, any final impressions. He says the betrayal from Cass surprised him. His hubris really messed me up. It follows though, being a soldier of God, realizing that he, God, does care. God abandoned Cass, taking control of his life meant that he would have to make decisions for himself. And this leads to guilt and shame when he now realizes that he now has responsibility for his actions. It sets off great character development. We all go through this as we step away from our parents or creators. Heavy stuff. And then he says, love your podcast. It keeps this teacher smiling while working through the pandemic. Thank you so
Aw,
much.
awesome. Ugh, good luck with your job. First of all,
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Good luck, James.
I
Sounds like
just
you have
don't
it pretty tough.
I just don't envy you. I can't imagine how hard that's been the past year. So hang in
Yeah.
there.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. Truly.
What do people
It's
say?
like you're
Yeah,
on the front lines now.
for real. Um, but yeah, I thought that was so interesting. He's, you know, um, it's true. Cass is like, I don't know, when you throw your kid out of the house and say, okay, figure it out.
Uh-huh.
And Cass is
Fly.
on his own. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And he's fucking it up.
Yeah.
He totally is.
Is he gonna have to like go home and live with his dad for a little while he gets back on his feet?
Maybe he's going to live in the basement and work at, I
Yeah.
was going to say work at Blockbuster, but maybe, I don't know,
Yeah, yeah,
obtain
yeah.
some other job.
The pizza shop doing deliveries.
Yes. Um, so yeah, maybe we should cast a little slack Or he's, you know what, you know who he is? He's like he's like the kid who like invested in stonks and now he's super rich, doesn't know what to do with his money. And he's going to lose it all because, you know, he's just like buying Lamborghinis and not realizing he has to pay taxes on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's the situation.
That's a really good analogy. I like that.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
It feels right.
Um but yeah, thank you, James, for writing in. That those are some really interesting thoughts and probably um much needed. We're just bagging on Cass, but you're right, you know, there's at least some character development going on with Cass and
Well,
kind of
I hope
explains.
so. I mean, I think that's part of why I've been kind of like upset about it is because I like what's happening to our cast? Like, are they I can't tell at this point if they're like changing him for good or what's happening, you know, like maybe there's some more insight into that later, obviously, but kind of from this end, it's like what you know, cast is changing and it feels like this is
Yeah.
just the direction it's going now and it's like, well, okay.
Yeah, it's true. I think you know, looking at it like season 4 cast was so serious and then season 5 they had a lot of fun with him. And then it was just like it felt like it was going that direction and then with season 6 they just kind of like pulled
Yeah.
that back completely and gave him no personality. No more personality, just
Very few cast jokes. Really unfortunate.
yeah. So,
Mhm.
um I don't know. I think you know, we haven't really been keeping up with this, but I guess I'll just put it out there. Like, do you have any thoughts about what could possibly happen in season 7?
Um That's a good question. Yeah, we haven't really talked about this so much before. You know, the only thing I can think is that if this is the direction it's going now and like Cass is the new god, but he's clearly like not a merciful god. He's an angry god. Um Sam and Dean are going to have a really hard time. They're going to have their work cut out for them because they're not going to be able to sit back and let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So then what? Does God end up on their hunt list? I don't know. That's going to be very weird.
Yeah. Have they hunted a god before?
Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah, why would you even try?
Mhm.
Crazy.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I have much to predict. You know, it was definitely like a cliffhanger that they left us on, but that's the only thing I can figure because Cass Cass can't continue this way. There's no way that that can be allowed to like to happen.
Right. Yeah. Um especially with the way he's acting, super
Mhm.
like as if you know, he doesn't need to answer to anybody.
Yeah, just
So,
like drunk with power.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. That'll be interesting. I think that's pretty much it that we wanted to go through. I'm looking right now. So, just so everyone's aware, one thing is that, you know, I think I had mentioned in the last episode, but we had watched the season finale together and recorded ourselves watching it together. And I cut it into 3 short videos that you guys can watch on our Instagram at How Would It Help Podcast. So those came out really cute. I really like those.
Yeah, they did. You did a good job editing them.
Thank you. I don't know. I make the funniest faces, I think, the weirdest faces. Um, but yeah, you can watch them on there. And I also tweeted about them and tweeted the link out. So please check them out. Um, we're going to take a short break. We don't have a to return date yet, but just watch out for our social media. for a date whenever we're ready to return back. And when we do come back, it's going to be about season 7, obviously. But the first episode is called Meet the New Boss. So I just want to share that.
Oh, dang.
That's a good title, man.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Also ominous. Yeah.
Ominous. Very ominous. Imagine. I was going to say, imagine being like waiting for that. But they didn't used to share. You never saw the episode titles when, right, back in the day when they were like on
No.
TV. We're
Not
old.
that I can recall. Just a little. I'm older than you are. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I know. I don't know if we mentioned like last episode was like right before your birthday, I think. So happy birthday.
Oh,
happy
yeah.
late birthday.
Thank you.
Everybody wish Christina a happy birthday. She's an Aries. If you couldn't tell.
I was going to say, if you couldn't tell. It might be obvious.
But yeah, so we'll be back. Season 7, we're not going away like Jake. But come back to us and we'll talk about season 7 there. So until next season, I'll see you on the highway to hell.
Bye.
Bye.